You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com. Joining me on the Newsmaker line for the second time on our humble show is the original Glow Girl, Hollywood, Jeanne Basone, and we're having her on today to discuss her new book, which is now out. Miss Basone, are you with me?
I am. How are you?
It's a pleasure to have you back on again. Your interview a few years ago was the hit of all of the Glow Girls that we had on. I think we had 3 of you guys on.
Oh, that's
everybody
sweet.
seemed to really enjoy yours the best, so thank you for doing that.
You're so sweet. Thanks, James. Kudos to you guys. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so here we are. What made you decide now was the right time to release the memoir, which, by the way, is called Hooray For Hollywood?
I have been working on this for years. And you know what? I just thought, I am the first Glow Girl that was hired. I did that pilot, and I did all the 4 seasons. I'm thinking, okay, I'm the one that could tell the story because I was there. You know, I mean, if anybody else wants to do a book, I hope that they do and they can tell their story. But I'm thinking I need to be the first one to come out with a story about Glow. And I started a long, long time ago. We're talking probably 1990. I started writing things down, and thank goodness I wrote that stuff down then, because it's more detailed. You know, our brains as we get older they remember, but sometimes they don't remember all the details.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So
now,
it took a long time.
Well, that's awesome. And so this book goes back almost over 30 years, not to give us both of our ages out, but wow, that's amazing.
It is amazing, but I also did this book in parts. That way, those who want to just read about Glow audition and Glow stuff could be part 2. You know, if they want to read more about Jeanne growing up, that's part 1. And then part 3 is everything that's happening now and when our show ended. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So you're not missing anything if you jump around.
That's really cool. That's awesome. I love that idea. Yeah. Sitting down and doing these kind of books, a little bit of an introspection on your part. You kind of have to be honest about your own past. And I've talked to some of the guys that have released books, and some of them kind of say, well, it was tough to do because I'd have to admit when I was wrong and all that. Did you have any kind of hard times looking back at your decisions and everything that went into making you?
No, and that's the cool thing about all of this, because everything that I'm telling you is the truth. It's the way it happened, and regardless how you may look or not look, it tells a lot about a person. And I think when you read this, you're like, wow, there's, have some dignity. There's that in there. There's that Me Too movement thing. And you'll see, that's my truth. You'll see how I grew up. So if you skip to a certain part and then you see how I grew up with rules and what mom and dad taught you, and you may not have wanted to hear all of that and thinking, oh, not again, but your parents are right. And my parents brought us up. They were strict. There was lots of rules. Was I a rebel? Yes. But anyway, yeah. The truth. It wasn't hard for me at all. And there's some little bit of heartbreak in there and, it's well rounded out. And I will say it's a classy book. It is not a trashy book.
That is actually one of my next questions. Sitting next to me. So on the shelf next to me is a signed copy of somebody that I really, really like. She has been the most honest person that I've done several interviews with, and that's Missy Hyatt. And Missy wrote a book that, I got her to sign it. In fact, I got her to sign it just this past summer, which was really cool. But it's a little bit of a tell-all book, a little bit more of a kiss and tell book, a little bit more like that. Yeah. Is there any of that going on in this book?
I have her book, actually.
It's an awesome book, yeah. For those who wanted that kind of side of things.
She doesn't care. You know what I mean? This is me, and this is who I am. And, earlier, like you and I spoke a while ago, and you know what? You have to get there. If you're not already there, I think maybe growing older, you mature a lot more, and you're like, you know what? This is me. I'm going to say it, and this is the way it happened. There's a disclaimer on there. It's my truth. It's and I love that. And that's great. Missy is the same way. She doesn't care. When I talk, you'll see, if you read the true crime part, you're going to be like, what? What is she, a Bonnie and Clyde? What?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading it. And in fairness, I have not yet. But I mean, like I said, I've been aware of, I saw the original Glow when I was a youngster, and I've known of you for years and years, the video games and all the other things you were part of. But there's a lot of your life that I don't know about, so I'm sure we're going to find out more about that.
Yep. And I'm getting reviews in from people, I don't know who they are, but over at Amazon, I've seen a couple of reviews. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. You know, that's probably for me kind of the best compliment. And you know what? There might be some bad reviews, but I haven't read any yet. So that's a good thing. I keep going back and forth up the scale here on wrestler biographies in the Amazon, and I was number 1 a few times, and then I slipped down to 3, and then The Rock was below me, and so it's kind of fun to watch all the categories of of where you are, and it changes every single day. But as long as I'm staying up there, that's pretty cool.
That is very, very cool. We'll get to where people can pick up their copy of the book as well in just a moment. But you mentioned yourself as the original Glow Girl, and like I mentioned a few years ago, I was lucky enough to have on the Royal Hawaiian and Lightning. They were really a lot of fun to have on too. And
nice.
You guys really you hold a lot of pride in what you guys did with Glow, and I think you have a right to. And there's a lot of times I find myself online kind of fighting the good fight for you guys, because there's a lot of negativity, snarkiness. It was just camp, or it was just that. As somebody who was part of it, and it is part of who you are, how do you view people who are snarky towards what you guys did?
You know what? I remember it a lot more back then. Don't talk to them. They're not real wrestlers. They're making fun of it. And you know what? I know what we did. I know who I was trained by. Mondo trained me. Because our show wasn't on long, it's like how we needed, if we had better training, more training with it sucked when the girls started training the other girls. And no disrespect in that, but what do you do when you're the first 12, like myself? All of a sudden, Mondo's gone, Mondo Guerrero's gone, and now who's going to train me? I can't have one of the other girls train me. It doesn't work that way. I think if we had more training, we'd be just as great as, any of the ladies today that, are awesome, by the way. I like the negative. It's okay. It doesn't bother me, but the more and more that I do conventions and I meet up with all the legends, they are honest. They're like, we used to watch you. We weren't supposed to, but we know who you are. We watch, and they're all so kind and so sweet. They don't say negative stuff. Today's a different generation. Pop culture is like we're part of that as well. And our show is different. It was just different. It was wrestling and comedy sketches. We were never trying to make fun of wrestling. We would never do that. I respect all the legends that came before us, because it wasn't for them, you and I wouldn't be talking.
Absolutely. You mentioned the landscape exactly. You mentioned the landscape of women's wrestling today, and it's amazing, because now it's almost like, not quite, but it's close to a 50-50 split between the guys and the girls. The girls have such a big prominent spot on the roster. What is your thoughts on how women's wrestling has exploded? And do you wish that if it happened back then that you could have been a part of this?
First of all, I'm like, finally, this is what happens with change, and years that go by, and what's this and what's that. But I'm like, what's that question again that you just asked me? I'm sorry. I have this.
What do you think of the girls getting this chance to, main event shows and be, on there with the same level as the guys?
I love that more and more and more, and that's the way it should be. For me, when I was wrestling and I auditioned for WWF at the time, I was right in the middle of a broken leg. Uh-oh. And so I wasn't able, we probably talked about that before, but you know what? I wanted time to myself. But I love what's going on now. I love that the women can express themselves as well as they're doing today, and more power to them. Our show was different. Here's another thing about the show. You know, we weren't a cookie cutter of we had all shapes and sizes and colors, and that was kind of cool. That's what made Glow to me different, that we were different and everybody looked different. Everyone had a different look. So it was very unique. And
for every Hollywood and Vine, there was a Mount Fiji and
right.
and
Big
Mama.
The Hun. Yeah, Big Bad Mama. It's pretty cool that, that's how they, we had a lot of, I wanted to say we had a lot of freedom, but we did not have a lot of freedom, but let me tell you, the first season and the second season that I was involved with, we got away with a lot. It would be stuff that you would never, ever see today. There's no way, we had to cut down on a lot of things. By the time the new girls came in season 3 and 4, we had to make things a little different, change up.
So I was at an antiques store a couple of years ago, and they had a VHS tape of like outtakes of Glow or something like that.
Way.
I forget what it's called.
Really?
And I put it in, and one of the first 3 minutes of it was, there was Hollywood, and she said, "Don't F with me," but she didn't say F.
Oh, I know. Yes, we would
what
never.
went into that promo, and how much did you get flack for that one?
This is what happened. So it was December 1986, and we were doing the pilot. We were filming the pilot in Las Vegas, and the director says, "Go ahead and talk about your match and what you're going to do." And I'm like, "Well, we didn't have a script." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Just say whatever." And I looked at him. I said, "Whatever?" He goes, "Whatever." So I went in there, and I'm like, well, if my character's supposed to be a badass, he's probably going to be dropping the F-bomb here and there. You'll never see those promos ever again like that. And you can see those on YouTube. I watched it in California on KCOP, and they're like, we're going to kick their beep, beep. It was great. They blurbed it, and I was just like, so for them to kind of really keep it in, but not.
That's awesome. Oh, did I lose you?
He was like, "Oh my God, I'm so scared of her."
So one of the other cool things about you is your involvement in my other love. If I love pro wrestling as my first love, rock and roll is my second love.
That's my God, mine too.
And you're, obviously, I read all these things you post, but you're also dating, if I can say, someone who's pretty prominent in a lot of the bands that I love. So it's pretty cool. Is that
20 years? That's a long time. I would just say we're kind of married by, I don't know what you call it, but 22 years for Ryan and I. And Ryan has played with a lot of bands, but he played with Gene Simmons when Gene Simmons had his solo band going, which he still does now, and Gene switches out people. Ryan played guitar with Jeanne solo, and right now, currently, he plays with Ace Frehley from Kiss, and it's pretty cool. I love Kiss. Before I met Ryan, I loved Kiss from the get-go. The kids in 7th grade were wearing their Kiss hats and Kiss belts and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get that album, and I still have all those old albums, and now I've met every one of them. I was in Gene Simmons' magazine called Tongue when he had that for a little period of time. It was wrestling. It was called Headlock Hotties is what they called it, and they came and interviewed me and some of the girls that were wrestling, and and Ryan's had such a great, quite a few years actually. And it's good about us too. And again, when you go into rock and roll and sports entertainment, we're both gone, but we make time, and that works out for us. It's like Ryan will go out 3 days, and then I'll go out 2 or 3 days, and then we come back and make sure that our kitties, our cats are taken care of, and then we see each other. But it's good. It works out really well for us. It's almost like a little vacation. And we support each other. That's the cool thing is I know what he has to do. He does his thing. He knows what I have to do. It's a perfect scenario for us.
Was he on the Last Ace album?
Yes, he was. That last one. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's a great album. It's the
I
best
like that. Yeah, there's some songs in there that I'm like, damn, good for
there's
you.
some good stuff. Probably best one he's done since Trouble Walking. With
exactly. I liked it too. There was a video, and I could not be in it. I was on my way to Istanbul, actually, and Ace asked, would you please come be in this video? But I just wasn't able to make that work. But it was okay. That's okay.
Very cool. Is your relationship with Ryan, is that discussed at all in the book?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's
it'll say it'll say JB. I can't remember. RC loves RC or something with a heart. Yeah, we have that. You'll know how I met him, and our ups and downs, and our certain issues that happened in our life. I mean, when you got 22 years, you have a lot of history, for sure. Yep.
That's awesome. I can't wait to read about that.
I got to tell all. I kept, there's some things you want to keep to yourself, but like I said, it's classy.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a couple more questions for you. You already kind of mentioned it, that there's some reviews coming back, but from your colleagues, from the people who know you the best, have they got a chance to see the book yet? And what have they had to say about it for you?
One of the girls in the third season, Corporal Kelly, got the book immediately, and she posted a beautiful, and she's honest. She's one of the girls that, her and I weren't close because, I wasn't around full time in season 3 and 4. I got to go home and, do other stuff in between. So she wrote a beautiful, and she said, I'm proud of you. And she talked about, there's a bullying chapter in there, and it was stuff that happened to me, and there was stuff obviously that happened to her, and Me Too stuff, and she loved that my honesty was in there. And so, yeah, she's the only one right now from any of the colleagues that has read it or has seen it. And you know what? I'm probably going to get some flack here and there, but I'm telling you, it doesn't matter to me. I did everything in a very as positive as I could by telling my truth, not trying to throw anybody under a bus or naming names, but stupid shit happens. And if it bothered you enough to write about it, that means it bothered you enough. All I could say is if people would apologize for their actions, maybe I wouldn't have written about it. You know what I mean?
Oh.
I probably never would have, but just to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong and I was stupid. And it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to say I'm sorry. You're not weak. I look at you more of a human being if you do. We all make mistakes. No one is perfect. I'm so far from it. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you said the book is in pre-order state right now. It's coming out real soon. I think it's the 11th. Am I correct?
It's past pre-order. Well, it is in pre-order. Correct. I'm sorry. You said pre-order. Yes, it is. It is in pre-order state right now. So next week, I'm hoping to get all of the books that these are the books that are on Etsy. They're on my Etsy site right now. And I have a 200 limited edition color photos that you can only get that on my Etsy site. And then there's a black and white on the Etsy site. And Amazon has the black and white right now. So
awesome.
But if you want color, you have to go through me because I won't put the color on. It won't go on Amazon.
Very cool. How do you get a copy of that, and maybe even an autographed copy of that as well?
Exactly. So going through Etsy, you'll get your autographed copies because they're going to come here first, and then I'll mail them out from there. So that is, the Etsy site is it is glowhollywoodmerch.etsy.com. So it's GLOW Hollywood Merch, MERCH.etsy.com. And then everybody knows. Oh, and I have another one where my soap is, Hollywood Botanica with a K. The book is also available at hollywoodbotanica.com and, of course, Amazon. If you just want to, go to the socials, if you guys are Instagram people, come visit me at official Glow Hollywood. If you're a Facebook fan, my last name, it's Basone, Jeannie Marie. And if you are into X, it's Glow Hollywood.
So you're all over social media.
You have to. You have to do it.
That's the way to be.
If you see me, and James, if you see me, posting it again and posting something else again, I have to keep that number 1 slot or that top 10 slot. So I'll do everything. And then today, I just started on the ebook. So an ebook will be available as well. Yep, I just went over all of that with somebody who's helping me with it. And when I hang up with you, I'll be sending her all the files. So ebook is on its way as well.
And I've got to tell you this. I have a vision disability. I would wonder if you could possibly do an audiobook.
I would love to do that. So that'll be my next project after we do the ebook, because I think talking is awesome. Have you heard the Van Halen one with Alex?
Alex Van Halen, I have read that. Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard it on audio?
I have not heard the audio. I heard the song really he put on there, but I haven't.
Ryan had it on audio book. We were listening to it, and he does such a great job at it. It's so good, and some parts are funny, and it's great to hear it from the person's.
That's exactly right.
Who wrote it? From the person who wrote it, to hear their voice and them talking about it and them laughing in certain places. It's great. So yeah, audiobook, that'll be next on the list.
That sounds awesome. Well, one last question for you. It's kind of a softball in and of itself, but what do you hope that people who decide to pick up this book come away thinking after having read it?
That they can do anything they want. God. A good one. And what you read is what you get. It's a very positive. When you read it, you'll see that it's a good read. It's a good positive read. And if you're into my career, anybody into Jeannie's career and the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling will love it. It's a great book.
That's awesome.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, for us.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
Yo, Maniacs, so what you gonna do when a Blaze of Maniacs runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Arriba la raza. Viva la raza.
Tryout.
Hello, ladies.
Hey guys, we had a lovely conversation. First lady, absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky. Hi.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Oh my God! You win! Wow, being interactive.
Whoa! I just got some listen. I was gonna shoot him. Yeah, I almost missed my pants. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Let's go. I see my language. Getting over the shot. I see him now. We're into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's gonna be cool. Woo! What it's all about. The purest point of view. The living legend. Arrogant.
You're listening to me.
Instead of statement, I'm talking to you.
So lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
Testify. Nevermore. Interactive interview. I'm not just the best. Interactive interview with a plastic
You
head.
earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional wrestling.
Made in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling.
First
The guy on fire.
I'm not
bad.
We were sexy.
What a show.
The one and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge with this whole. You're where it's at. You gotta recognize you're the best.
Make sure to tune in each and every week.
I'll come out of your computer.
Knock down your door and turn it on for you.
Or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line.
Have a nice day.
It's showtime!
Don't forget to like and subscribe.